What's going on, everybody? I'm Jake the Lawn Kid. Welcome back to yet another video. So nice to have all of you guys here. Hope all of you guys are having a great morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you're at. And if you're watching this in the morning, you guys know the drill. Make sure you're having a nice cup of black coffee to kick off the morning. As we always like to say here in the lawn care community, we don't start talking lawns until we have our coffee. So if you haven't done so already and you're a coffee guy, get your coffee. We got some stuff to talk about today. 5 must-dos to fix that crappy lawn of yours heading into spring. With that being said, let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing I recommend you guys do as we come into 2021 here is I recommend you check your soil temperatures if you haven't already. It's very important that you do that because the last thing you want to do is either mow and or fertilize a frozen lawn, because if you do mow it, you can risk crushing the crowns of the grass plant, which can in turn kill that grass plant and lead to a longer recovery time in the spring. Or if you go to fertilize it, another problem you can run into there is runoff of excess product that wasn't able to get down in the soil. And as you can imagine, when the soil is frozen and hard, you're going to have way more of that excess product that can run off and go into storm sewers and cause environmental problems that we just don't want. So it's very important that you take your soil temperature. There's a couple of different ways you could do it. Number one is you could take this little guy right here. Let me get in on that. Focus. This is a meat thermometer. You can find this at pretty much any place that sells kitchen utensils, or if you go to a garden center, they will have regular soil thermometers that you could stick in the ground. Once you get these, what you want to do is you want to stick them in about a couple inches in the ground, and it'll give you a reading as to where your soil temperatures are in real time. So when you do use this little object here, I recommend you stick it in both a sun and a shade area just to get an idea of where things are, because you don't want to end up applying things to your lawn or walking on your lawn, if you will, when say the shade area isn't warmed up while the sun area is. You want to make sure the whole thing is warm. So with that being said, what is the milestone that shows when things are warm enough to get going in the lawn? Well, my friends, that is going to be 55 degrees. So once this little guy reads 50 degrees, you are good to go with your lawn care endeavors for the season. Now, with that being said, if you don't want to use a soil thermometer, you can also use an online tool. There's a plethora of them out there. One of them I want to briefly talk about in this video, just because it's so well known and it's such an awesome tool, is Greencast Soil Temperatures. The link is right here and down below as well for those who want to check it out. I like it because it works and it's easy to use. You open that link and you get a very simple interface. You have a map, you have a little search bar that allows you to type in your city, state, zip code, all that stuff. So you just go ahead and type all that information in there and it will give you an exact reading as to where your soil temperatures are in real time. Now, to take it a step even further than that, it also shows you averages as to where your soil temperatures have been in the last 5 to 10 years. So again, I did a video a couple years ago talking about how I like to use those 5 or 10 year averages to gauge when it is the right time to put down your first application of the season, which is typically going to be your Crabgrass Pre-Emergent, which we'll be talking about here later in the video. So Greencast Soil Temperatures, great tool to use, very simple interface. Type in your information and it will give you all the information you need to make a decision on when it's time to get started. Okay, so once you've taken your soil temperatures and you realize that your lawn has hit that 55 degree milestone pretty much anywhere, then it's time to get out there and go ahead and start doing some work. One thing you can do in particular is get out there and go do some raking. Light raking in the spring, especially for cool season grass, is a really, really great way to promote airflow in the lawn, because you got to realize if we came out of a heavy winter, one of the biggest problems we're going to have is going to be extensive matting and layover in the turf. And when you have that, that can actually hinder the new growth and development of the new grass that is coming up as we progress into the spring. So one thing we could do to prevent that from happening is to get out here with a little metal rotted rake, kind of like you see me showing on the video here. Get out there and just lightly rake any areas that look like they're experiencing any severe matting. That way you're going to allow more airflow to get into those areas, which in turn will help those areas recover much faster as we head into the spring, because as I like to say on this channel, airflow is key and you will be off to a good start. Okay, so now let's talk about pre-emergence, as this is a very hot topic this time of year that I am constantly asked about, and that is, Jake, when is the best time to get down my pre-emergent for crabgrass, especially if I have a severe crabgrass problem? Well, my friends, it kind of goes back to the soil temperature conversation that we have. As soon as temperatures hit 55 degrees, you are good to go with that. Now, your pre-emergent can be anything from a granular product that you find at a big box store all the way to a liquid product that you can get online. By the way, guys, speaking of online, I officially have my new website for the 2021 during lawn season, which I will leave linked down in the description below. And on top of that, I will also leave individual links down in the description as well for products that I have on that website, all of which I'm talking about in this video. So if you want to check all that out, all those links will be down in the description below. I digress from that. When it comes to pre-emergent, you could use anything from a granular to a liquid as long as it's prodiamine. Two staple products, at least that are available to homeowners for almost any grass type, whether you're warm or cool season, is going to be prodiamine and dithiopyr. Now, in this instance, I recommend you all use prodiamine if you can. If you have dithiopyr, that's totally fine. But with prodiamine, you're going to get a better sticking agent in there, which is going to be better for the early spring as you're getting all of those rains. That sticking agent is going to allow that prodiamine to better stick to the ground to then start working its magic in preventing that crabgrass from coming up. And aside from that, it's also better for early season control anyway, so you're going to want to choose prodiamine if you can. Again, dithiopyr is okay, but prodiamine is even better for early season control. So if you can choose prodiamine, I recommend you use prodiamine. Again, links down below for those who want to check that out. Okay, so the fourth thing we're going to talk about is going to be fertilizer. So as you're coming into the season, it's a good idea to get down your first application of fertilizer right around the time you do your pre-emergent. As a matter of fact, if you guys want, you can actually package your first fertilizer application with your pre-emergent. As professionals do this all the time as well with their applications. When you go to any pro, you're going to see that they offer around 6 to 8 steps of applications throughout the year. They're typically spaced apart about every 6 to 8 weeks. And within those packaged applications, you'll find that say step 1 is your starter fertilizer and your prodiamine applied together, obviously mixed separately, but they can be applied together. Liquid does have an advantage here because unlike the granular where you can't really mix them together in the hopper, you can tank mix liquid prodiamine with your liquid starter fertilizer in the tank together, thus making it much easier for you to kill 2 birds with 1 stone in less time. So that's something to consider. If you're a granular guy, you're a granular guy. If you're a liquid guy, you're a liquid guy. Anyway, getting back to the point here with fertilizer, all you really need to do here for this first application, especially if you're just getting into lawn care as a whole and you really haven't done anything to your lawn before, or you're in for your second or third season, it's a good idea to get a product that contains the 3 main macronutrients that we always talk about here on the channel, and that is the nitrogen, the phosphorus, and the potassium, which can be identified by 3 numbers on the bag with dashes in between them. In this case, the 2 products we have with us are the 12-12-12 granular starter fertilizer, as well as the 16-21-2 green pot. Those are 2 products that you could totally use, no problem. And as you'll see, we have nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. The nitrogen, as we've talked about before, that's going to help with top growth. Phosphorus, that's going to help with root growth. And potassium is going to help with overall plant health in the soil, which is very important as we head into the heat of the summer, which is to come up later in the season. So having all 3 of those elements in that first application is very important. NPK, you'll be okay, as I like to say, with that first application of fertilizer. Okay, so the last thing we're going to talk about is mowing. Now, I know that seems like a shocker to most of you because mowing is by far the most important thing you could do to your lawn. So the fact that we're talking about it last may seem funny, but that's because mowing in this case actually comes maybe a week or 2 after we do our first fertilizer application of the season, or whenever you feel like it, as long as the grass is warm. Let me elaborate. So when it comes to this first mow of the season, it is a good idea to, number 1, jack the deck down a couple of notches, and number 2, go ahead and put your bag on there, as we want to get up any excess debris that might hinder new growth, right? Coming into the springtime, we have new grass blades popping up from the existing root systems that we have built over the years, and the last thing we want to do is hinder that new growth. Like I talked about earlier, airflow is key, so make sure you're getting out there and doing your raking. But on top of that, it's also a good idea to get out there with your mower and bag up all that debris to get it out of the way so that we have more room for that new growth that is yet to come over the next couple of weeks that we are also pushing. So it's a good idea to get out there for your first cut with the bag on the mower, take it down a couple of notches, and make sure you suck up, if not all, about 80% of that debris, because the last thing we want is to hinder that new growth. So in a few upcoming videos here over the next couple of weeks, as well as the next couple of months, we are going to expound even more on these topics, as well as a bunch of other important topics that you guys need to know to keep your lawns looking green, vigorous, and thick all year round as the season progresses. So I appreciate all of you guys who've been following me for the last couple of years, and on top of that, those of you guys who are just coming in here, I'm really looking forward to educating you guys on how to have the best lawn in the neighborhood. With that being said, I'm Jake the Lawn Kid. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Later.